What interested you in dog grooming?
I like dogs. I had a pretty stressful job that I worked 15 hours a day at, and I was just getting tired. I worked there for 16 years at the Dollar General Distribution Center in Fulton, and one thing that got me through the day was I'd go home and my dogs were there.
Aww.
And I would be like, I forget about everything. So somebody asked me that one day, how do you de-stress after work? And I said, well, my dogs. I forget about everything once I see my dogs. And then I was telling you, I used to volunteer for Second Chance doing pictures, and Jessica had built this grooming area on just right here. She built all this, and she was trying to find a groomer. So, and I was asking her, and this is probably, I would come for pictures every 4 or 5 months, not Easter pictures obviously, but every, you know, whatever pictures we were doing. And every time I came in, she hadn't got a groomer yet. So I finally said, you know, what do groomers make? I kind of researched it, talked to groomers, went and followed them, watched them, and I said, oh, I think I can do this. So I quit my job, went to school.
And what are all the steps that go into a groom?
I kind of have specific steps actually, so you don't forget anything. So the first thing I do is take them to the bath. So they get a good bath, conditioner, blow dry, and I think that's the main basis of a good groom is getting them clean. I wash all my dogs twice, so if somebody doesn't like a groom, they can't complain that the dog wasn't clean. So the cleaner the hair, the better it brushes out, the better the haircut goes. And I used to take my dogs to a groomer, and I'd say, I wonder how come it looks better? And my dogs don't need a haircut, you can see the dogs, but they would always look better at the groomer than when I washed them. And I'm like, I don't know what they do different, but I think it's a blow dryer because it fluffs up the hair and it just makes them look a lot nicer and gets all the dead hair out. So, but that's the first step, and then you do. I clean the teeth with an essential oil rub, clean the ears, and then I Dremel the nails. So some places just clip, I Dremel so it gets nice and short and rounded off. And then you do the haircut, sanitary trim, brush, and then I do a little spritz of cologne and bandana. So I think the full works.
And you were talking about the market out here. Can you explain like what Lizzie and Rocco's is, like besides just the grooming with like the products and everything?
Yeah, and actually grooming just started Lizzie and Rocco's 3 years ago. So Lizzie and Rocco's is a natural pet market. So we have higher end food. It's all food you're not going to find at Walmart or not even PetSmart has some things we carry, but it's high end quality food and pet toys and things like that. So it's there's nothing in here that's not safe for a dog. The owner is very, very educated on nutrition and just dogs and cats in general. So things like prong collars, we don't sell those here because they're not really optimal for for training or anything. It hurts the dog really. So there's things that people like, but we don't sell them just because the owner doesn't believe in them. So, but that's what Lizzie and Rocco's is all about. So there's 3 stores, one on the south side of town, one downtown, and then a few years ago, she built this store. When she got it, just had kind of an empty space here, so she built this area, and she had a brilliant idea actually to just put a groomer in here. So, and I think it's brilliant. So, if it was a grooming salon, you have to have, which you're probably familiar with grooming salons, are usually, several groomers, a lot of dogs, and you really have to pump out dogs all day to pay for your overhead. That all pays for the overhead. So this is just, one groomer. So I don't have any competition, so it's great for me. And then she, her store pays for all the overhead anyway. So so it's a really good concept. And I think actually, me winning Best Groomer doesn't have a lot to do with my haircuts. I mean, I think I could do good haircuts, but I'm sure there are better groomers out there that have far more experience. But people like this experience. They like that their dog is here by themselves. I take one appointment at a time, which you can't do in a big, busy salon. I play music. I have aromatherapy. I don't know if you can, smell the aromatherapy. So they get one-on-one treatment. They're not around barking dogs, so I'm not stressed, so it's better on the dog. They pick up in an hour and a half or whatever long it takes me, so different breeds have different times, so they don't have to drop off their dog and leave their dog sit all day. So there's all those things that I think people really love about Lizzie and Rocco's.
Like it's almost more personal.
Yeah, very much. So it's I don't think it's particularly me. It's the whole experience. So
yeah, it seems very personal.
Yeah, and again, awesome. We can go back and say, you know, and it's funny. I can really identify, and people sometimes freak out. So if they do have a skin issue, I'll say, I bet you're feeding Science Diet or Purina. I can peg what they're eating based off their skin or what they smell like, or well, how did you know? You know, well, they're yeasty, or there's just certain signs. People don't realize how much food has to do with their dog and how much they shed, even in any kind of skin condition. So we can just go out there and then they can do the whole nutrition thing with the girls out there. So it's the whole experience.
What was it like to be named the best dog groomer in Columbia 2 years in a row?
It was amazing. It was awesome. One reason, because I've only been grooming for 3 years. So the first time I won it, I'd only been grooming for 1.5 years. And there's people that were on the voting ballot that had been grooming for years. So second place winner, I think, was Rose from Bat Paws, and I did one of my externship days over there. So she was amazing, but she's been grooming 30 years. So it was pretty. I didn't expect to win it at all. I was like, oh great, I got nominated. That's wonderful. You know, I've only been doing this 1.5 years. But then when I won, I was like, oh my gosh, I was really flattered. So and then the second year, I was like, really flattered. So next year I'm gonna be really nervous because pressure. So, but I was extremely flattered. So
yeah, that's awesome.
It was amazing.
Is it like citizens that vote on it, like Columbia?
Yeah. I don't even. I know the first year my boss nominated me, so I got on the ballot because of my boss, obviously. But but then they'll tell people, vote for me. So everybody that I groom will go on there and vote. And of course I tell my friends. But this year she didn't even nominate me at all. She's like, oh, you're on the ballot and you're on the top 10, and I didn't even know when it was. So she kind of missed it. And so it's probably clients. A lot of my clients say they voted for me and stuff like that. So
that's cool. And do you live in Columbia?
I live in Fulton, actually. So.
Okay. How far is Fulton from here? I'm not sure.
It's about 25 miles. It takes me like 32 minutes to get here. It's not bad.
Okay.
So the worst part of everything is driving here, I think. But Fulton is I was going to actually start grooming in a mobile groomer. Have you ever heard of mobile grooming? It's pretty big in big cities. Okay. So it's everything in a van. So that was my original plan, is because I didn't really want to work in a salon with a lot of people or anything. Mm-hmm. So and I had my old job. I had 6 weeks vacation. I was just used to having a little more flexibility with the schedule. So if I was working for a groomer, I would have like 1 week off. I wouldn't get to pick my days. So I said, well, I'll just work for myself. I'll do a mobile groomer. So I was originally going to do that, but Fulton's a smaller town. I really can't support what I would want to charge to pay for the overhead and everything like that. So this kind of fell into place, and it's a lot like mobile grooming. It's everything about mobile grooming that I wanted, just in a store setting. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Yeah. And is there anything else you wanted to add about like your personal life or anything about like maybe like coming from LA? Maybe explaining that like transition.
That was a long time ago. So, I moved here a long time ago, but I should have done it a long time ago. I can tell you that. I made a lot of money at my old job, so all I can say is making a lot of money is great for a few years when you're young, but then afterwards, it's not all that important. So I actually got a lot of clients because I was a manager at the distribution center in Fulton, so I was over like a whole bunch of people, but the HR manager used to tell people everywhere she went, she worked in Columbia, or she lived in Columbia, but she was saying, she made a ton of money at this job and she quit to be a dog groomer. That's who you want grooming your dog. And I had a lot of people come in just because they're like, you know what, you're right, So I'm not just some kid that, wants to make some extra money on the side or something. This is what I want to do. Mm-hmm. So transitioning from a regular job, it took some adjustment. So, because it was a corporate setting. So I remember coming in at first and I remember asking Jessica, what's your cell phone policy? What is your social media policy? I was asking her all these policies that I'm so used to, and she's like, come to work? I don't know. So it was a big change actually coming from a big corporate setting to doing whatever you want, kind of being in charge of your, you know, your own work life. But it's really amazing. So
that's awesome.
I love it.
That's great.
Yeah, I have complete control over everything. So I schedule my own people. The only thing I do is say, hey, I need more shampoo or whatever. So, but so if somebody cancels, if I don't want to fill it, you know, I could say, hey, I want to go home early or whatever. The only thing I try not to do is move people around. So the hardest part is I book out so far, so I'm almost booked for next year. So I have to, you know, set my schedule up, so certain days off or vacations, and so it's hard to plan things. So I just kind of make up stuff, and my husband will sit down and say, let's take off a week in October, or let's take off a week here. So that's the hardest part, and sometimes it's kind of a bummer because I'm already booked, and somebody will say, hey, do you want to do something on Saturday? No, I can't, because I can't move 6 people. You know, if it was one person, it'd be one thing, but to move around people is really, really hard. So, and I don't have sick days or anything like that, so it's tough if you don't feel good, because I just come to work anyway, but the dogs don't seem to care, so. But so those are the only bummers, I guess, is, you know, no sick days and no vacation pay, so I just have the budget different.
And anything else about your job or anything that I didn't already cover?
I don't think so. I think it is, actually one thing I will cover, I think it is really important for people to find a groomer that is certified. And that's kind of a whole other thing. I went to school. A lot of groomers don't go to school, or you don't have to go to school, let me put it that way. The industry is so unregulated, so you could literally go watch some videos, wash a couple dogs, and say, hey, I'm a dog groomer, and start advertising, and
Wow.
people would have no idea what you know or anything. So I wanted to go to school because I wanted to learn what you not only should do, but what you shouldn't do. So it's really important, because there's a lot of ways you can hurt a dog if you don't know what you're doing. I mean, tons of ways. Different breeds are different, you know, different ways to handle different breeds. So I wanted to go to school if I wanted to do this. And then I'm certified by International Professional Groomers. And I read an article the other day that there's only like 3% of groomers in the United States that are certified.
Wow.
So yeah, so I think the only ones that I know of that are certified, the last time I checked, and it's been a couple years, is the owner of Pet Fair, the owner of About Paws, and one person in another salon. So most groomers are not certified. So I think it's really important.
Wow.
If you have a pet, you want to take it to somebody that's certified.
Yeah.
And they teach you safety, sanitation. Just like I say, different breeds have different health issues that you really need to know. I'm CPR certified. So that's a whole other thing that I think really people should know. And that's probably one reason why I want Best Groomer too, is because I'm certified. I've got 2 certifications up there. I'm working on a 3rd. So that, to me, that's really, really important. So knowing what I know now about the industry, I'm like, oh my gosh, I used to take my dogs and I have no idea what those people knew. You know, they could, if you pick up a leg wrong, you could hurt them. You could pull legs out of joints. You can drown a dog if you don't know how to wash certain breeds. You know, there's a million ways you could really hurt a dog. So I think that's extremely important that people look for a certified groomer.